Hi Vishal,
Hey man,
welcome to Sudeep Audio's channel.
thank you. Honored to be here. I've been watching all the clips and all the previous all the names that have been on here. Are people I've been very proud to know and very proud to work with. And yeah, it's great to be here.
Super. Like it's usual kind of a trend or format that we've developed. If you could share with us and the viewers about your musical upbringing, because a
Hmm.
lot of children today want to be musicians, but they don't know what exactly is a path to take, or
Yeah.
how should a parent know that his or her child is, a little creative. So from your
Hmm.
journey, maybe they could, get inspired.
Okay, but my journey actually is quite a strange one. In the sense of I have no musical history in the family at all. So essentially, it's my good fortune that I was brought up in Bombay and my parents love music with a passion as listeners. So my house was full of music. We had a huge stack of records and a record player that we as kids were allowed to use, which was a
Also,
big
right.
deal back in the day. But and the good thing is on that shelf where all the records were stacked, there were no divisions. So, one day I could listen to, in the same day I could listen to, Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and R.D. Burman and, Lakshmikant Pyarelal and, disco music and African music and funk and soul and classical Indian music and all of it together. Jagjit Singh, all of that stuff was there and all of it was just music. Nobody ever put any limitations to, this is that genre, this is that style, this is what we do, this is what they do. It was never like that. It's like all music is your music, love it all. And my parents were they are very, they still, they're very much into music. There's constantly music in the house. So that's a huge part of why I got into it, I guess. Um, as far as how I became a musician is concerned, that's a whole other story, and it's a very bizarre and messed up story, actually. So I was a really, really bad kid. I'm still a really bad kid without the kid bit. But no, I was a nasty, like messed up kid in the sense of unnecessarily angry, getting into all kinds of scrapes, and just like stuff like that, as one would expect from looking at. But yeah, so there was a hugely sort of rebellious phase in college, and I don't know what I was rebelling against because really I had a perfect life at home, you know.
Hmm.
But anyway, having said that, I got to know a bunch of different sorts of people that one would normally not get to know, and then sort of the Bombay riots happened, and it's bizarre to be telling you this. So the Bombay riots happened, and there was just this one shop that used to stay open down the road from my house. So I'd go and meet my strange friends there, and one of them used to play a little guitar, and I used to play three chords. I had taken one lesson, and I had three chords. So we used to sit and we used to bash out some songs, and with three chords you can sing about 1 million songs, if you're tone deaf enough,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, so we used to sit around doing that, and then once all that calmed down, I got a call from somebody saying, "Do you want to be in a band?" And I was like, as what? And they said, as a guitar player. So I was like, but I can't play, dude. So the guy said the magic words. He said, "That's cool, neither can I." you know. So I was like, okay. So I took my guitar and I showed up at this rehearsal session. Now this whole band was being set up by Shiraz Bhattacharya, who's currently the drummer of Pentagram. And the whole objective of that band, the sole objective of that band, was to meet the women who were in a fashion show. We were playing alongside this fashion show. And the whole objective of that band was to meet the women. As all good bands, you know, they should all start for the same good reason,
Hmm.
you know. So, but we ended up doing the show, and we were terrible, like genuinely terrible. But by the end of it, like my hands were shaking and the blood was running through me in a way that I had never felt before.
It was like your first public
Yeah,
performance.
it was my first experience on stage,
Okay.
I had done school things, but this was different. So I went home, and I'm from a business family, and I spoke to my dad, and I said to him, I said, "Dad, I think this is what I want to do with my life." And the beauty of it is the question my dad asked me, which is the question every parent should ask their kid at that moment when the kid has a realization and feels like this is what he wants to do or this is what he wants to pursue. My dad said to me, "Are you any good?" So I said, "I think so." He said, "Okay, go for it then." You know. So I'm very fortunate that I had the complete support of my parents and family, and the band Pentagram used to rehearse in my house. in my bedroom, no soundproofing. It was loud as hell. No complaints. Not from my
Neighbors are
family,
okay.
not from my family, not from my neighbors, not anybody. Everyone was encouraging. Everyone was like,
Go for it.
go for it. So I guess that's a very fortunate set of circumstances. But I have to have gratitude towards that. But yeah. So that's essentially how I became a musician. And then Shiraz, who's the drummer of Pentagram, introduced me to Raj Kaushal, and I had a couple of songs I'd written in Hindi, um, sappy love songs, you know. Uh, Still among my favorites. Wo Pehli Baar, for example, was one of those songs. And I went and I played it to Raj. I had written it for the woman I was in love with at that point, who then became my wife. And he heard it and he was like, I have to have this. So I was like, great. I didn't know the first thing about, Acha, you have to have it, theek hai. But now what? I had recorded an album with Pentagram before, which was live. But how does one do this? So a friend of mine, Samrat Bhaldwaj, who Teddy Boy, killed, uh, became the de facto sort of programmer, and we sort of bashed it all out and put it out. We did about 5 songs on that film. In the course of which I met Shekhar, who was also working on the same film. We had been friends before,
Okay.
but he was also working on the same film. And so we then decided to do the title track together and have been working together since. And then that's just, I think the main thing is that we did that first film, right? And all the songs became very successful.
What's the name of the movie?
It was called Pyar Mein Kabhi Kabhi. And the songs were Wo Pehli Baar, Musu Musu. All those songs went out and, hit number 1 and all that stuff. And we were just kids. I was 25 at the time, and had no real idea of what that entails or what that means or where one should go from there. Didn't know anyone in the film business. No one in the film business knew us. So 4 years 4 years after that, we didn't do a single film. And tell the truth, we didn't even think about it. We were doing advertising. We were doing, whatever else we could do at the time. Whoever was coming to us to work with us, we were happy to work with them. I think that time was really crucial because a lot of people put out their first film and then get bitter about not immediately becoming Rahman. But that's not how it should be. I mean, you should make music for love. You should make music because you enjoy it, and do everything with an equal passion, The good thing about Shekhar and me is when we started out, we didn't get into it expecting anything from it. I mean, I guess you could call it good fortune, that we considered it a fluke and we were like, acha chalo, theek hai. Ho gaya, acha hai. It's cool. It's something we have on our resume. It's like that. So we were not hankering after more and just, now and everything. There was none of that. There was
No running around production houses.
nothing.
or meeting
We didn't
people.
meet anybody. I mean, to date, I don't think we've ever gone to anyone's office for a meeting. Because we're just, we're self-assured, I guess. But I think, honestly, if I was to be absolutely truthful, we're just lazy. We like to make music. We don't like to sell music. If you want it, you come to us.
Vishal, we have a lot of bands and musicians from outside Bombay who watch the channel,
Yeah.
and they want to know how can they, kind of develop a career in music without having to come to Bombay. Like we asked Randolph also such a question.
I wish I could do music without having to come to Bombay, but
So we asked Randolph also the same question, and he said there's no need today to come to a big city to do music. Is what he felt.
he's absolutely right. Randolph would be talking from a slightly more global perspective, perhaps. Where someone in Manchester or Birmingham is perfectly capable of accessing London or LA. It is in fact the same. It's just that the people who control our systems here in India are a little sort of less techno savvy, perhaps. Also, the music business being what it is here. It's not as sort of developed, like you say, it's not easy for someone to kind of, reach across and make that bridge. But it's not impossible. I mean, if you hear music today, you'll hear a lot of people from small towns who are making music, for Hindi films. A lot of people from small towns who are writing lyrics for Hindi films. Many of them who don't come to Bombay and they just write over the net, or text messaging. people from Pakistan do so much music in Hindi films. They don't live in Bombay. It's at the end of the day, it's about how accessible you make yourself. It's about honestly, I don't know because I've never shot myself, so I'm just literally making a guess here. But the truth of the matter is, I don't believe that your location is that important. But you should be able to commit to doing what you want to do, in the sense of if you get an opportunity to jump in, then you should jump in and do it wholeheartedly. And don't say I've got 1 foot here and 1 foot there or whatever. I'm not saying you have to come to Bombay, but I'm just saying, for whatever it's worth, that you do need to kind of, I guess, maybe just make your music and put it out there. And if it's great, people will find you. At the end of the day, that's the key to life. So if your song comes out and people really like it, then the industry will find you. As you can see, I mean, it's happened in a million cases.
But it's really, you have to be patient. I mean, you can't just give up so easily.
Yeah, I mean, patience, like I said.
Because money is important. I mean, it's nice to, be in the seat, in the chair and say...
Yeah, you're right. But, for whatever it's worth, like I said, when you're making music, you need to make music for yourself first. First, your fundamental needs to be to make music for yourself. If you start out making music for success, by definition, you're fucked. You're not going to get anywhere with that. You make music because you love it, then you can choose various ways. You can just put it out, like you said, on YouTube, and if it does really well, someone will find you or locate you. I can name many artists with whom that's happened. Or you choose to shop it. You go and meet people and you make them hear your music, and it's not an impossible thing that people will hear your music and people will kind of respond to it if it's good. The fundamental is to know that whether it's good or not. I mean, I get easily, I kid you not, Shekhar and I must get easily 50 demos a day via email or CD or whatever. Some of them are lyrics, some of them are songs, some of them are singers. And I'm without being an ass about it, please forgive me, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but 90% of them are not up to scratch at all. So it's really crucial that you don't run with your family's opinion, and if your mommy said you're very good, then don't assume you're very good. Get out there and actually experience what people have to say about your music and see how good you are, and test the waters and learn and be open to that, and all good things come to those who wait. So
Vishal, you're also a singer.
yeah, at a stretch you can say that.
Yes. We had a couple of people who wanted to know that, have you kind of got this coarseness since childhood, or have you kind of worked towards getting such a voice?
My voice is actually not coarse. My voice is malleable. I never learnt music, so I'm a mimic. All my music I learned from mimicking. Whether it's rock bands, or whether it's Hindi film singers like Kishore Da, and I'm not saying I'm a good mimic, but that's how I learned.
Okay.
So my voice has always been very flexible. I can do many textures. As far as my natural voice is concerned, you hear that also many times in songs, but the gruffness comes from the voice culture of singing with Pentagram. I'm able to do that very easily for me. It comes very naturally to me. I don't have to think about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a, how do I put it? It's not a constructed thing, in the sense of it's not a fake thing, but it's a choice I make when singing a song.
Okay.
When I'm singing a song, if I feel it calls for a certain sort of thunk in the voice, it's like a distortion patch, So yeah, I'm able to access it.
Do you kind of, before a show or before a program, a live event, do you kind of have to do something to your voice?
No, not at all.
Or before a recording, do you do something special? Or do you bring that kind of roughness or that?
Do you really want to know? I smoke cigarettes and I drink coffee.
Fine.
That's my routine.
Correct.
That's pretty much it.
But it's not a voice that you've kind of consciously worked at getting.
No, it's something that it depends on the kind of emphasis I want to put into a song. And it depends on the kind of song. It depends on the vibe that matches. If they want some rowdiness, then I put it in, and then that's what it sounds like.
Right.
I don't think about the sort of the the external characteristics as much as I think about what the voice and the song is trying to convey. And that's my, once I'm in that, then automatically it kind of shows up. Of course, people do come after Dented, and especially people do come to me and say, "Oh, waisa wala, waisa karke do." And I'm like, dude, karke do wala scene nahi. Your song has to be like that. If it feels right, I'll do it. If it's justified, Like if you hear Jile Zara, it's a totally different texture. If you hear there's a song called Kar Chalna Shuru Tu from Ek Mein Aur Ek Tu, which is a more pop, pristine texture. Or a lot of the songs that I've done with Vishal and Shekhar, whether it's Tujhe Chand Chahiye from Supari, which is a much huskier tone, or like a song like Dil Garden Garden Ho Gaya, which I did for Sachin Jigar, that's a much thinner tone. So I mean, I do various modulations depending on what the composer wants, depending on what the song feels like to me, and yeah.